Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yasoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Saraswati Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Prabhupada Saraswati Srimad, Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinod Ki Jai. Sri Guru Parampara Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Go Premananda Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana Timarandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurun Miritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvetam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Brindavanishwari Vrishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakaupadrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Today it's verse 17. Today? 10:21. Oh, we did 17 last week. Okay, 21. So, please repeat. Adityanam Aham Vishnur Jyotisam Ravi Anusmam Marichi Marutam Asmi Naksharantanam Aham Sashi Adityanam Aham Vishnu Jyotisam Ravi Amsuman Pariche Marutam Asmi Nakshatranam Aham Shashi Adityanam Aham Vishnu Jyotisham Ravi Ashuman Mariche Marutam Asmi Nakshanam Aham Shashi. Okay.
Adityanam Aham Vishnu.
Vishnu.
Jyotisam Raviram Suman. Marichi Marutam Asmi. Nakhetranam Aham Sashi.
Aham Shashi.
Adityanam Aham Vishnu.
Adityanam Vishnu.
Jyotisam Raviram Suman.
Jyotisam Raviram Suman.
Marichir Marutam Asmi. Nakshatranam Aham Shashi.
Nakhetranam Aham Sashi.
Adityanam Aham Vishnu.
Adityanam Aham Vishnu.
Jyotisham Raviram Suman.
Jyotisam Raviram Suman.
Marichir Marutam Asmi.
Marutam Asmi.
Nakshatranam Aham Shashi.
Nakhetranam Aham Sashi.
Adityanam Aham Vishnu.
Adityanam Vishnu.
Jyotisam Raviram Suman.
Jyotisam Raviram Suman. Murta. Marichi Marutam Asmi. Nakhetranam Aham Sashi.
So, Adityanam Aham Vishnu Jyotisam Smaram Marichi Marutam Asmi Nakshakranam Aham Shashi. So, word for word, please repeat. Adityanam, of the Adityas. Aham, I am. Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. Jyotisham, of all luminaries. Ravi, the sun. Anusman, radiant. Marichi, Maruta, of the Maruts. Asmi.
Asmi.
I am.
I am.
Nakshanam. Nakshatranam. Of the stars. Aham. I am. Shashi. The moon. So, translation, Srila Prabhupada. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Muruts, I am Marichi. And among stars, I am the moon. Please repeat. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Muruts, I am Marichi. And among the stars, I am the moon. So, purport Srila Prabhupada. There are 12 Adityas, of which Krishna is the principal. Among all the luminaries shining in the sky, the sun is the chief, and in the Brahma Samhita, the sun is accepted as the glowing eye of the Supreme Lord. There are 50 varieties of wind blowing in space, and of these winds, the controlling deity, Marichi, represents Krishna. Among the stars, the moon is the most prominent at night, and thus the moon represents Krishna. It appears from this verse that the moon is one of the stars, therefore the stars that twinkle in the sky also reflect the light of the sun. The theory that there are many suns within the universe is not accepted by Vedic literature. The sun is one. As by the reflection of the sun the moon illuminates, so also do the stars. Since the Bhagavad Gita indicates herein that the moon is one of the stars, the twinkling stars are not suns, but are similar to the moon. That's interesting. So, Mukam karochi vachalam pangam laite girim yad kripa tamaham bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam. Aditya namaham Vishnor Jyotisham Ravi Anushaman Marichye Marutam Asmi Nakshranam Aham Sashi. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Muruts, I am Marichi. And among stars, I am the moon. So, there's two forms of knowledge. One is called avaroha, and the other is called aroha. Avaroha means knowledge that comes down from a perfect authority, whereas aroha gyan indicates mental speculation. Aroha gyan is what we take as knowledge in this present time. In the material world, people take mental speculation as knowledge. They gather, it's called pratyaksha, they gather some information through their senses, and they hold that in the mind, and then they speculate. It's called anusmam, that you analyze this knowledge and you try to come to a conclusion. Whereas avaroha, like avatar, means one knowledge that descends. So the defect with mental speculation, interpreting sensual data, is that we are limited. We cannot really get a full picture. Our senses are limited. We tend to delude ourselves and others with our conclusion. And we have a tendency to be illusioned. We're in the material world. So these are the four defects of empirical knowledge, as it's called nowadays. But this is taken as, in the modern world, they say this empirical knowledge is progressive knowledge. And they're always inventing some new idea about the universe. How it arose and what will happen and the cause of this and that. And so they have many scientific magazines and they change the content every month or year. They have the latest speculation. For example, nowadays, for some time they've been talking about quantum physics, but actually this theory about quantum physics is now being rejected by many scientists. Another example would be black holes. They speculate that there are super dense black holes dotted throughout the universe, and they are so full of gravity that even light cannot escape from these regions, and therefore they're black, appear black. And then another modern idea is that there is dark matter, and then there is visible matter. And so all these different ideas, they present as a progress of knowledge. Yes, we are rejecting the idea we have today for another idea, and we're progressing, we're improving our understanding. But if you're rejecting always the previous idea, you are going from one mistaken idea to the next. You're not actually coming to any conclusion. You may propagandize that you are progressing in knowledge, but you're going from one rejectable idea to the next rejectable idea. So that is in the ignorance of Kali Yuga, that is taken as the process of knowledge. And billions and billions of dollars, or pounds or rupees, are spent on these insane projects. For instance, in CERN, they have a particle accelerator that costs $20 billion. So just imagine what you could do with $20 billion to help people in healthcare, education, good food, good water. But these are all based on atheism. The general thing in Kali Yuga is, in the scientific community, you get nowhere if you present the idea of intelligent design, that there is a supreme person possessed of supreme intelligence, and he is creating and designing the universe. If that is your premise, your underlying assumption, then you will never get your PhD. You'll never become a professor. You'll just be rejected. You have to talk from the sidelines. So basically, modern science and all this interpretation of the universe and chemical biology, physics, and so on, it's based on 3 words: nothing, bang, everything. There was nothing, and then there was a big bang, and then there was everything. Now, if you accept that idea, you cannot really call yourself a scientist, because nothing means the absence of anything. So how is nothing able to progress to becoming an explosion? Nothing means nothing. It's the nothing before the idea of nothing. If you say that nothing is a dark place, or a vacuum, or an empty space, then that is not nothing. Nothing means absolutely nothing, the absence of everything. So, at the heart of their conclusion, or basis, their premise, is this mistaken idea that something can come from nothing, when actually nothing does not exist. So then they, with the senses, they examine the everything, nothing, bang, everything, with the limited senses, and they interpret the results, like I say, pratyaksha, sensual examination, and then interpretation on the basis of that, the senses. They may be using telescopes or microscopes to enhance their senses, but they're limited nonetheless. And when the knowledge comes into, the sensual knowledge comes into their mind, they speculate on, interpret. But they have to interpret on the basis of there is no God. It's just happened by chance. Nothing by chance became a Big Bang, and then the Big Bang by chance became everything. So the other idea is that we can examine everything without having to presume there was nothing and then a bang. We can examine the universe and in its complexity, and if we're actually intelligent and fair-minded and non-prejudicial, we can see that there is amazing design. The way everything fits together. Nature, living beings, plants, the rhythm, the sun, the moon, the stars, the progress of time. To say that this is just by chance is to dismiss a basic and very valid interpretation. If we come into this room and we see that there are chairs and sofas and a microphone and a computer, we don't think it's happened by chance. We think, no, there is some design carrying on. So when we see the progress of the days and the months and the years and the evident design that is very common throughout animals and human beings. There is 2 legs, there is 2 arms taking different forms, there is a face, there is senses. We can see that there is an underlying design. At least we should admit that it is a possibility that there is design. But the atheistic person does not want to admit that there is a design. Because if there is a design, it means there's a designer, right? If there's a kurta, it means there's a tailor. Your kurta didn't arrive without a tailor. So all the amazing things, all the incredible complexity of our body and DNA and so forth. Do you know, I once read, of course, we can't take it as gospel, but it's because it's from these speculators, that within every cell of our body there is an information memory or record called the DNA. And this DNA gives information to how to construct a hair or a bone or an eye or a knee or a blood cell. And there's trillions of billions of cells in our body. And now if you to take one of those cells, and in it, I think you must know that DNA is a long molecule. So if you were, this is what I read, if you were open one cell and take the DNA out, and instead of it being all looped together in the cell, it would be 6 foot long. One cell. So all this incredible content of information that is read, if you cut your skin, then little machines within the cell will go and they'll check how to make a skin cell, and then it'll automatically repair itself. But this is all happening without any supreme direction. So the basis is to refuse the acceptance of a supreme designer. But the problem is, and we recognize this, that you cannot speculate your way to that supreme designer. There's a sloka Prabhupada quoted many times, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Yoda Dadati Kaman, that out of all eternal spirit souls, there is one supreme. Out of all conscious being, there is one supremely conscious being. And that supremely conscious and eternal being is fulfilling the desires of all the living entities. As Krishna said earlier, Matak Parataram Nanyat, there is nothing beyond me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung upon a thread. So this is the position of Supersoul. When we look at a living entity, whether it's human or animal or whatever, we can understand there is four things. There is the gross body, there is the subtle body, the mental body that contains the consciousness. This subtle body is fitted into the gross body, just like water goes into a sponge. So they're the two material bodies. One is called the Linga Sharir, that's the gross body, that's the mental body, and there is the Stula Sharir, which is the gross body. And then there is the spirit soul, who is emanating consciousness, which is held within the subtle body. And through the subtle body, consciousness enters into the gross body. So that now we have three. We have the gross body, we have the subtle body, and we have the soul. But we know that there is another content, and that is the Supersoul. So when Krishna is giving through descending process all this way to see him, Krishna, within the material energy, that's what he first says. When he starts listing all his opulences, this chapter is called Opulence, he starts with this. I am the super soul, O Arjuna, seated in the hearts of all living entities. So this is the supreme opulence. He is the supreme Lord, and everything is resting upon him. And we can realize and contact that Supreme Lord. He is known as Chaita Guru, right? We need external Guru, particularly at the beginning of devotional service, when we're trying to get Vidya Vadu Jivanam, spiritual knowledge. We need an external Guru. But as we progress in bhakti, purification, we can contact Supersoul and knowingly do that. So the question may arise in a yogi's mind, how do we know that Supersoul is informing me rather than this is my mental conceptions? Because we're both Chaitanya, we're both conscious beings. So how do I know, how do I begin to recognize what is my content and what is the input of Supersoul? How do I know that what I'm thinking is coming from Krishna or is it from me? Because Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam explains that there's Krishna and then there's the living entity. The living entities are unlimited and they're both conscious. So we know that Krishna consciousness means to be conscious of Krishna. Not necessarily externally, though in this chapter of the Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, see me in this way, in the opulences of the material world. Yes, I'm in Goloka, I'm with the gopis, I'm dancing in the Ras Leela, I'm in the Bhoma Leela, but Arjuna, you start to see this material world in relationship to me, to see it as my production. See it in that way, and then you'll be automatically Krishna conscious. Put aside the speculations of Kali Yuga, in this particular time, of Kali Yuga mental speculators, and see everything in relationship to me. Vasudeva Savam iti. We also just heard Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matak Sarvam Pravatite. Iti Matva Bhajanti Mam Buddha Bhava Samambita. Number 8. So if you see everything in relation as coming from me, then you will gain, by my grace, a connection with me. Number 11, what's that? Tesham evanukam patham aham agyana jamtama nashyami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhashvata. That out of compassion for them, I, dwelling in their heart, dispel the darkness born of ignorance with the shining lamp of knowledge. That's number 11. Why? Because bhajatam pritipurvakam, they perform abhideya, which means to worship Krishna pritipurvakam, with loving attitude, not mechanically. Maybe at the beginning we're mechanically chanting here and there, but then as we progress and we take shelter of the Mahajans and the big acharyas and the holy name, we start to realize that Krishna is within the heart. And then that springs our devotion to a pritipurvakam. And this is what actually attracts Krishna. Krishna, as we see here, he's all opulences of the universe are just progressive from him. At the end of the chapter he says, Yad yad vibhuti mat sattvam shri mad urjitam evava tat tat eva vagashkatvam mya sambhavam. That know, Arjuna, that all wonderful and glorious creation, parts of this creation, spring from just a spark of my splendor. Try to understand that. I've told you the opulent things, like of stars, I am the sun. Of stars in the night, I am the moon. I am the Maruts. Of Adityas, I am Vishnu. What are the Adityas? There are 12 Adityas, different expansions of Vishnu. So I'm Vishnu. They are the deities of the 12 months. The Maruts, they are the fierce young warriors of Indra. There's quite a story attached to that. So all these wonderful things mentioned here, see them in relationship to me. Iti matva bhajanti mam, those that see it in this way, they become my devotee. Because they accept that this world will never be analyzed correctly by mental speculation, but it will be understood progressively by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, out of compassion. Krishna, he likes to, just like he's revealing to Arjuna, because Arjuna is his devotee, he says at the beginning of these chapters, so he will reveal himself to his devotees. That he enjoys, because he thinks, this is my friend. So if we have a friend, even in this material world, we have a friend, we like to tell him stories, our experience. So Krishna, out of his compassion, which is as unlimited as his consciousness, likes to distribute knowledge and understanding to his devotees. So this is the secret of the devotee's realization, an expanding consciousness and understanding, that if he sees everything without matsarya, matsarya means envy, with the root of which is calm, right? Lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, and Matsarya, ultimately it's based on material acquisition and greed. And then we have Matsarya. We become frustrated in the material world and we blame God that our desires are not coming through. But if we actually concentrate on the Supreme Lord within the heart, rather than the external world, then we can realize the Supreme Lord. But how do we know if what I'm getting in the heart or my consciousness is from Krishna? Well, if we are actually following the rules of sadhana bhakti, and we're studying and we're taking shelter of the conclusions of the acharyas, then Krishna gives us knowledge. And it's very easy to understand for the devotee who's attentive. Just like if I scratch myself, I know that I'm scratching myself. But if somebody comes along and scratches me in the same place, I know that somebody else is scratching me. So this is a basic way for the sadhaka to understand what is coming from my own consciousness, my own thoughts and activity on the conscious plane, and Krishna. And that which comes from Krishna, as we talked about last week, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, na soshati na kankshati, samak sarveshu bhuteshu, mad bhaktim labate param. If we understand what's coming from the spiritual plane, we will find when we actually are contacting Krishna and the spiritual plane within our consciousness, it's often said within the heart, but it means ultimately the heart of the soul is Krishna. The soul of the soul is Krishna. The soul is just like that pearl on the thread. So the soul is resting upon Krishna. Krishna is the soul of the soul. Everything is strung upon Krishna. So Krishna is more than happy. There is a Upanishad verse, it says Krishna and the living entity are residing within the tree of the material body. And one bird, the soul, individual soul, is trying to enjoy the fruits of the senses interacting with the material world. Whereas the other soul, the other bird, is Krishna, the super soul, and he's waiting. Why doesn't he pay attention to me? So that is the free will of the living entity. Ultimately, the free will of the living entity is to accept that he is not the Supreme, that he is subordinate to the Supreme, and surrender to the Supreme. So the basic entrance to that is the knowledge given in the Shastra and the Sadhus. We talked about that last week. That the Shastra, the Bhakti Shastra sections of the Vedas and the commentaries of the great acharyas, like we're so fortunate to be close to Prabhupada's explanations, that these two, the Shastra and the Sadhana, the acharyas, Mahajyena Gatasva Pantha, if we study those regularly along with chanting and keeping a pure lifestyle, then we become qualified to get in touch with Krishna. And that is the experience of every devotee. The devotee, na soshati na kankshati, he doesn't lament or hanker. He's self-satisfied. I'm realizing Krishna, and this is wonderful. And from this taste that I'm getting from realizing Krishna and Chaitaguru, it is a different taste from anything I have realized before. It's a different quality. So the devotee doesn't hanker and he doesn't lament, and he sees everything is the energy of Krishna. This is all the energy of Krishna. And this spiritual world, Prabhupada in a number of times, he explained that ultimately we say this is the material world and there's the spiritual world. But ultimately everything is spiritual. It's just that this energy is the material energy and it is of a secondary quality. But by sadhana, by chanting, and we'll find that, I think, yajnanam japa, that by chanting, that is the greatest of yajnas. Then we can realize Krishna even within this material body, which is suppressing our senses. The senses are suppressed. The senses of the soul are suppressed by being covered by the mental material body and the gross material body. But if we learn the art of listening for Krishna, searching for Krishna within the heart, but with the mood of bhakti, then Krishna reveals himself. They're not difficult to understand. And then we become attached to Krishna and we start to realize what Krishna is saying in this section. Saying all this material energy, Arjuna, is me. But don't see it as disconnected. In the spiritual world, everyone is under the subtle effect of yoga maya. Yoga means union. So in the spiritual world, everyone, the energy, is pure spiritual energy, everyone sees the connection of everything to Krishna automatically. They're free of any lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, and matsarya. They're in their swarup, spiritual form, they're bathed in the ecstasy of their swarup, Nityara Krishna Das, and they are free of any other attraction other than the service of Krishna and his devotees and the service of the expansions of Krishna, Gaur-Nitai and so on. But in this material world, it's a difficult situation because we are in the material body and we're trying to come to that position. And when we're in the material world and we're bahimukh, then we are under Mahamaya, which gives a sense of forgetfulness or disconnection, or it turns the Supreme Lord into an irrelevant question, whether God exists or not. I still have the same problems, so don't talk to me about God. I still have to keep the wife and the children fed and pay the tax man and keep my boss. So, all this stuff about God and philosophy is irrelevant. So in different forms, this kind of rejection, but in the human form, because of the acharyas and the shastra, we can overcome that ignorance. So in the Brahma Samhita, very interestingly, it explains why this material energy, which has emanated from Krishna, gives forgetfulness. When we go to the material energy in an enjoying mood, we forget the Supreme Lord. And they have an expression in Japan. They say, a man takes a drink, the drink takes another drink, and then the drink takes the man. You follow this? So we go to the material energy and then we become addicted to it, right? And then we're just pursuing how to get more and more of our addiction. We think, but it's the law of diminishing returns, right? You take one drink, you feel great. You take two, you feel, take three drinks, and then you take 4 drinks and you're falling asleep. Why does my wife hate me? So, diminishing returns. The more you try to enjoy the material energy, the less enjoyable it is. Therefore, regulated bhakti is very important, sadhana bhakti. Yes, you want sex? Get married. Yes, you want to eat? Offer nice things to Krishna and take the remnants. He won't disappear it from the altar. So on. So you're all devotees. You're experienced in this. So this is the path of bhakti, and we get strength to pursue this sadhana by good sangha. Sadhu sangha, savasara. And sadhu sangha is there in the Shastra. We should hear when we read Prabhupada's books, or Bhakti Vinod's books, or Bhakti Siddhanta's brilliant essays, we should hear the voice of those acharyas, right? We should hear that. And then we can associate and progress towards seeing everything in connection with Krishna. And this is the beginning, is the first step in God realization. Okay, Krishna is Chintamani Prakara Sadmasu. He's in the spiritual world. He's sitting on a throne and he's been worshipped by the gopis, Brahma Samhita. But okay, very good, keep that in mind. But see Krishna here and now in the material energy. This is the important thing, because we are in the material energy. But we should understand why the material energy makes us forgetful. So that is explained in Brahma Samhita. The Chit Shakti in the spiritual world is under Yoga Maya. The living entities are in the Chit Shakti, and they're under Yoga Maya, and they see everything naturally in connection to Krishna's devotees, Lord Chaitanya's devotees. So why doesn't that happen in the material world, as we said before? Because it's emanating from Krishna. Well, the explanation given in the Brahma Samhita is very interesting and very educational. We know in the material world, everything is made out of the pradhan, the causal ocean. We know that Vishnu is lying on an antasesh within the pradhan. Lakshmi Devi is massaging his feet in devotion. And Vishnu is in his leela of yoga nidra. We are also taking into sleep and nidra, but the origin of everything that we're doing is actually in the Supreme Lord, in his leela. So when Lord Vishnu is within the causal ocean, he is enjoying yoga nidra. Yoga nidra means he is in a restful state. He is, we can say, he is sleeping. Now when we sleep, we forget. Tonight, most of us will go to sleep and we'll forget our identity, our external identity, will we not? We'll just go, oh, I'm a king. I'm in charge of the temple. So on and so forth. I'm in Ukraine. We will have so many fantasies about our identity, we will forget our gross identity. So we will just be on that platform of desire. Now, when Lord Vishnu, this is just to grossly, is in Yoga Nidra, he is also emanating the spiritual energy and maintaining the existence within eternal time of that spiritual energy. And it is called the pradhan. It is often called also the causal ocean, the Karanadak. He's Karanadakshay Vishnu. He's an expansion from Krishna. It is also called the viraja, the bridge between the material variety and the spiritual variety. So when Lord Vishnu is in his pastime of Nidra, the Brahma Samhita is explaining that he is forgetful of himself. He is gone into another position of Leela, Nidra, and he's forgetful of himself. And therefore, the Chit Shakti that he emanates has a mixture of tama. Tama means forgetfulness. Just like in the three modes, there is tamasic. That means you've become very forgetful of all morality and the Supreme Lord, and you become very deeply engrossed in material reaction. So the basic pradhan that is acted upon by the time factor, which creates the three modes and which creates the Mahatattva in relationship to Durga Devi, the basic substance that is split into all the varieties of the material universe is composed of the Chit Shakti with Tama, with forgetfulness of identity. Is this point clear? Is this clear? Because Lord Vishnu in his Leela, he's emanating the Chit Shakti, but it is emanated in his Leela of Nidra. So it has an element of forgetfulness in it. So the three modes we know, this is in chapter 25, third canto, explained. The three modes, they create all the different senses, the sense objects, and so on and so forth. But they are all these material categories. They are all created by the modes acting upon the pradhan, and the pradhan has forgetfulness mixed into it as a constituent. So all the material varieties, the five senses, the five working senses, the five knowledge-acquiring senses, the five basic gross elements, starting with ether and so on, the five workings, all these categories, they are all having in their constitution the element of tama, forgetfulness of spiritual identity. This takes a little contemplation, and you can read the first part of the Brahma Samhita, and you'll get it there in the purports. And therefore the material energy, it is naturally invoking forgetfulness upon the living entity. That is conquered, that forgetfulness, which is then a subtle form, is conquered by spiritual knowledge from the Shastra and from the Acharyas. And the basic antidote to that forgetfulness is the understanding that everything has come from Krishna. Even the forgetfulness of Krishna has come from Krishna. And that is to fulfill the desires of the living entities who rebel against the supremacy of Krishna and want to enjoy the material world in forgetfulness. So Krishna is fulfilling the desires of the materially conditioned souls to think that they are the God, that they are the supreme, that they are the most important thing, and pursue all sorts of material activities without connection or in forgetfulness, or as we say, ignoring, in ignorance of the Supreme Lord, as Sutri Mani Gana Iva, as the thread that ties everything together. But Krishna is not just the thread, he is the pearls on the thread. Right? He is also, both are him. The super soul, everything is resting upon the super soul, the living entity, all the material energy, all the categories, it is all resting upon the Supreme Lord. So that realization comes by the devotee who takes shelter of the Shuddha Bhaktas, the Acharyas and the Shastra. And he pursues sadhana in that light. And he starts to realize that. He doesn't hanker and lament. He is satisfied in himself, And he sees everything as the mercy of Krishna. And therefore, mercy also in Sanskrit means maya, energy. So he sees, yes, that the sun, just like we have today, the sun, that is the mercy of Krishna. The moon, that is the mercy of Krishna. Of the Maruts, they were created within the womb of Diti by Indra, because Diti didn't like Indra. He was always fighting with her offspring, so she took a tapasya from her husband Kasyapa, praying for a son that would chastise Indra. Indra heard of this and tried to break her tapasya, and he entered into the womb of Diti, the wife of Kasyapa, and he cut the embryo into 7 pieces, and then he cut it into 7, each embryos into 49. So, and the embryo was rebelling, and Indra said, Maru, Maru, don't cry, don't, this is Sanskrit, don't cry. So that's how they got the name Maruts. And then, because he broke Diti's, it's called the Pamsana tapasya, quite complicated. You don't sleep at this time or in this direction, and so on and so forth. You worship the cow, the Brahmins. They became the warriors of Indra. So the Maruts are the warriors of Indra. But then we see everything in the material world, growth and spiritual, in relationship. The most important one is, I am super soul. And pay attention, I am the beginning and end of all beings. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda, the 4 Vedas. The Samaveda is the most melodic, apparently. Of demigods, I am Indra, he's the king. I am the king of heaven, yes. The senses, I am the mind, because all the working senses and knowledge-acquiring senses, they flow into the mind. So I am in living beings, I am the living force. So I am consciousness, Nityo, Nityanam, Chaitanas, right? Of Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of Yakshas and Rakshasas, I am the Lord of Earth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am fire. Interesting, the different Vasus. There are 8 Vasus, the 5 elements, direction, the moon, and the sun. So of those, the 5 elements, Agni is considered the highest, most active. Bhishma was the Vasu of water. Of priests, Naumi the chief, Brihaspati, he is the guru, ritual guru of the Devatas. Of general, I am Kartikeya, son of Shiva, he's considered the greatest. Of body of water, I am the ocean, right? I'm not the lakes or the bathtub, I am the ocean. I am of great sages, I am Bhrigu. You should, if you can, get your Bhrigu Samhita done. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Om. Of sacrifice, I am the chanting of japa. So that is the greatest, it says here, Yagyanam japa. Yagyanam japa yagyo. It's me. I am that. Of immovable things, what are the biggest mountains on earth? Himalayas. Of trees, I am the banyan tree. It's a miraculous tree. It expands and puts down new trunks. Of sages, I am Narada. He is amongst the demigods. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chittarata, the greatest singer. Of perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila. Of horses, Ushraiva. Who is Ushraiva? Huh? Sorry? Of horses. Yeah, I have to look that up tonight. I have an idea, but I don't. Oh, maybe it says here. Ushraiva. It's not in the purport. Oh, look. From the nectar produced by from the nectar, the churning of the ocean. Ushraiva, the greatest horse, was around. Of weapons I am the thunderbolt. Of cows I am the Surabi. Of causes for procreation I am Kandarpa, the god of love, Cupid. And so on. So everything is Krishna, but Krishna, just to summarize this point, he's saying, don't see me, I am everything, but see me in the inspiring, most opulent aspects of all the different categories. That will inspire you. So we can follow that. If we hear a good singer, we should, that is a gift, a vibhuti. That is from Krishna. If we taste good food, we should, that is the skill of the cook and the taste of Krishna. Prabhupada even once said that if the alcoholic, we were talking, if he drinks his alcohol and thinks, this is the taste of Krishna, he will make progress in spiritual understanding, because he's seeing his addiction, his alcohol, in relationship to the Supreme Lord. So maybe I don't know very much, I don't drink, but this daru is from Krishna. So I'm not advising you to practice this in your sadhana, but it is progressive, you see. All these wonderful things in the material world, they are the vibhuti, the opulence of the Supreme Lord. Just like we see the sunset. Instead of seeing it disconnected from Krishna, we just say, wow. Every night Krishna makes a beautiful painting with the clouds and the sunset and so on. Oh, look at the rainbow. Look how Krishna has made this part of the material energy in this way. We see the ladies dancing in the temple. Hare Krishna. Oh, they like the gopis. we see everything in relationship to Krishna. Prabhupada said that. We should see women as gopis. Doesn't mean to say they are gopis, but they should remind us of the gopis, you see. In this way, we see everything in relationship to Krishna. So this is what Krishna is teaching Arjuna. See everything in relationship to me, but start with seeing the opulences of the material world, the wonderful things, as containing my blessing, my energy. Because, yes, we have the gross body, we have the subtle body, we have the soul, the Paramatma, and then we also can understand that everyone also, the fifth element is their karma phal, their manifest karma and the karma that's lying at seed. So these are the 5 or 6 things, if you like, that compose a living entity. And they can all be seen in relationship to the Supreme Lord. And when that is done, we lose Matsarya, because we are seeing it in relationship to Krishna. Then we can become sadhu. You see the point? Because Matsarya means envy, or he's no good, I'm better, and so on and so forth. Critical attitude. But we just see the whole material world and the living entities within it as Krishna's energy. This person is opulent because of karma phal. It's Krishna's decision. Let me not become disturbed. This person is here, this person is there. It's all the arrangement of Krishna. Indra is king of heaven, the arrangement of Krishna. It is his karma. It is the judgment of Krishna. So then we see. And then we see ourselves, and we should see, Krishna, you're maintaining me, and you've given me certain opulences, and you give me a family and association, and I'm so grateful that you've given me the acharyas and their knowledge. And then we can live without frustration. We can live with satisfaction, understanding that whatever is coming to us, that is the mercy of Krishna. directly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, we should finish now. Any quick question?
No, you have explained everything in this purpose that if we be more attached with Krishna, then we can forget all the illusions.
Yes, we overcome, because that is the factual thing. The factual thing is that everything is related to Krishna. Everything is resting upon, just like Kuntimala, it's all related to the thread. So everything is related to Krishna. Huh? Yes, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Se Uchyate. Yeah, so with that vision, we become transcendental eventually, if we combine that knowledge with sadhana bhakti, and we can make progress.
I think everything belongs to Krishna.
Yes, everything belongs to Krishna. I belong to Krishna, he says, right? He says, Mama Angsa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The living entity is my Angsa. We all belong to Krishna. But at the same time, through his generosity, he's given us free will. So he wants to interact with that creative force that we have, our imagination, our desire. You see? But in relation to him, then that becomes ecstatic. But if it's in relation, in forgetfulness to the material energy, then it becomes a cause of bondage, karma fal. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you all very much. Hope you got something from it, the class. Thank you for coming. See you next week, if you can. And remember, see everything.